Hello and welcome to the very requested part 3 of my honest descriptions of the Naruto arcs. Part 1 was the original Naruto, part 2 was Shippuden until the war, and part 3 will cover the war till the end of Shippuden. Since I won't be able to start working on Boruto right after this, because I'd like to wait until I can actually make a full video on it, I'd like to hear what you want next most. My main thoughts are on every Naruto filler arc, every Dragon Ball, Z or Super arc, or really any other long shonen. So feel free to subscribble so you know when those things come out if you haven't already. Let's begin with the components to the longest war in anime, even though in the anime it only lasted 2 days, which, as I may explain later, is a plot hole to itself, being that Naruto Uzumaki, the character, was on screen for over 48 hours in this allegedly 2-day war. Now let's get into the bazillions of perspectives from every character ever, even the dead ones, starting with the war prep. After Toby pulled a Lelouch, giving all the ninja and samurai nations a common adversary, causing them to all band together instead of picking them off one by one and causing other conflicts to ensure their victory, Kishimoto knew he had to plot armor the crap out of the 3 bad guys that decided to face the 80,000 good guys. So instead of using villains that survived until this point, or revealing some sort of twist that gives the villains allies or puts the heroes in a worse position, it's definitely way more satisfying that all the bad guys that it took about 500 episodes to kill until now should all be brought back, making all their efforts until this point less than useless because, as stated by Kabuto, they are stronger now, despite this fact being forgotten later, because they apparently have infinite chakra up to Kabuto's max, which would be a hindrance to Madara, but basically a huge advantage to everyone else. Oh yeah, and the fact that they could freaking regenerate. Needless to say, this is the jutsu that gave Toby any chance or hope of success for the entire first half of the war. Funnily enough, Kabuto joining him wasn't even part of his plan, and that's to the extent that Kabuto blackmailed Toby into letting him join their side of the battle by revealing the true Madara's corpse. So to summarize, Toby's actual game plan when he declared war had 0 chance of success on every level, because it would have literally been him and Zetsu. Random thing, I have a friend that claims Toby's the smartest, most awesome, and well thought out villain in anime, so just to silence him, can I please have some LOLs in the comments? And if you're like, OMFG, you're so right, Toby's actually a dumb fuck, then I can use one of those lololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololol Naruto's perspective, now that he saved the Lee village and no one gives a crap about his backstory anymore, the nine-tailed fox doesn't need to be a threat, so it's time to tame the beast now, instead of literally forever ago. So let's get on a boat and sail to meet Killer Bee. And it's a good thing this guy isn't Natsu and gets seasick because he was on the boat ride for 4 months real time, full of that awesome filler we love so much. And you know how most of the time filler arcs have no continuity with the rest of the series? Well, this filler arc didn't even have continuity in itself, because once they were already almost at their destination, Kakashi ends up ahead of them, even though they were already on a boat for weeks. In any case, Naruto's major preparation for the war arc was to start controlling the nine-tailed fox, so he sought the help of Killer Bee, who's an awesome character despite not actually doing anything.
But Nux, it's thanks to him that Naruto learned how to control the fox.
Good point. But all of his ultimate training was basically telling him, bro, you gotta balance some blocks on top of each other. Or even better, bro, you gotta go to this magic unexplained waterfall while you are fighting an evil version of yourself, because apparently that's what these magic waterfalls can do. Oh, and I'm also not going to tell you that the only way to beat him is with the power of love, and you just have to hug it out. And then when that's done, Naruto will have to fight the actual nine-tailed fox in his own mind. And he wouldn't have actually beaten Kurama if not for... Wait. Am I sensing an ass pull coming? Apparently yes. Because before his mother died, she gave him the power of love as she died, which is totally not ripping off Harry Potter, and which Gaara also totally doesn't have the exact same bullshit reasoning for his power-up in the later war. But in any case, the fox and the boy became friends. So now remember, kids, if you want to make a friend, and that friend hates your guts and wants to take over your body, just get your mother's blessing and as many allies as you can to beat the crap out of him. Best friends forever. At this point, however, outside, Guy is busy beating Kisame again, and he does it by catapulting off of his trump card. That's right, his victory came because I summoned Catapult's turtle. Impossible! No one's ever been able to summon him! And then Kisame is yet another member of the Akatsuki that dies via suicide, because the show is trying to convince us that the good guys aren't killing anyone because good guys don't kill people. I mean, think about it. Sasori stated he let himself die, Deidara blew himself up, Kisame summoned a shark to eat himself, Pain sacrificed himself to revive the village. He then ain't dead. Itachi's own Sharingan was the end of him. Conan was killed by Tobi, and Tobi was technically killed by Madara. Orochimaru and Kabuto are both alive and kicking, and sort of working with the good guys at this point. I can go on, but I think I got my point across. Kishimoto is a major pussy. Speaking of Conan, in the meantime, she understood that Tobi would be coming for Pain's Rinnegan, so she decided to face him in combat where, let's be honest, she knew there was a slight chance of losing, even though her loss came from an Izanagi that once introduced thanks to Danzo, apparently now every Uchiha ever can do it. And it also reveals that Tobi always had 2 Sharingans somehow, and he just decided to keep one covered because ninjas don't want depth perception? Tangentially, with the amount Obito was spamming his Mangekyo, why weren't his eyes übergefuckt like every other Uchiha? In other words, Conan's fucking stupid, because if instead she would have just destroyed the Rinnegan and joined the Alliance, she would have actually been a major help. Not to mention, if you think about it, there's still a second Rinnegan lying around for the taking, because these days, eyeballs are tradable, kinda like Pokemon. And the final mention of the war prep arc, Yamato and Anko decide to get themselves captured due to stupidity and help the enemy out just a little bit more. And that was basically their purpose in the entire series, as they haven't really done anything else. On to the war confrontation. After millions episodes of canon preparation crossed with filler preparation, the ninjas are finally ready to fight their 3 opponents. But that's so lame in a way, because there happened to exist a rule that not more than 1 main support character is permitted to die in each arc, as you see throughout anime. And as we know, only main characters are allowed to defeat the actual villains. But since there are only 3 villains, it divides this incredibly large cast into 3 sections. Group 1, the main characters, who are the ones to take down the main villains. Group 2 are the main support characters, set to take out the revival jutsu ninja, proving that keeping them busy was the secret reason of Kishimoto for going through loops and plot holes to bring them all back, except for Jiraiya for no explained reason, where somehow Zetsus count as a sacrifice. Speaking of Zetsu, the way to show that the ninja side is taking heavy losses, even though the rule of not more than 1 main support character can die in each arc, is because they have an elite position of ninja now that I like to call Lieutenant Mush. The ones welcomed into the Lieutenant Mush Corps, whether in any anime or Western film, are there solely to make the viewers feel that, oh no, good guys are dying. The dead giveaway to this is if they don't have a voice actor, or if there's just a lot of them standing in one place. Hence, the army of Zetsus and their purpose to combat the Lieutenant Mush Squadron. The Zetsus serve another majorly important purpose, and that's being the second greatest plot cushion in the series after Wood Style, where if there's no good explanation for something, oh, it was Zetsu that did it. Oh, half of Obito's body got crushed? Don't worry, Zetsu body parts can help him. Oh, Madara's alive after like 300 years? Don't worry about it, Zetsu powers. I'll express the same issue just worse with Wood Style on a later date, because it gets to the point that Hashirama cells can do fucking everything. Add that to their legendary transformation jutsu, a totally legendary jutsu that pretty much any genin can use, but somehow Sakura is the only one that could pick up on it because masking chakra bullcrap. Congratulations, Kishimoto. You've successfully convinced 1/1000th of your fans that Sakura is a useful character. Speaking of useful characters, every main support character coincidentally had the chance to fight a revived ninja that just so happened to be an important figure to them in the past, whether they were an old sensei, an old foe, some sort of ancestor, or if it was a main support character that we didn't really know much about his past. Don't worry, because no problem. Making up characters is Kishimoto's strong suit, and now they used to be some sort of arch nemesis in the past, like Mifune and Hanzo, who apparently knew each other. However, I can go on for a while explaining why, talking about all these amazing revival jutsus. But instead, I would like to focus on my 2 favorites, Kinkaku and Jinkaku, twin lightning ninjas who are some sort of adversary to Darui, because otherwise he'd have fought less meaningful battles. And these guys happen to have the stupidest ninja tools on the face of the planet, that have more random, overpowered, ridiculous abilities than any JoJo stand ever. As an example, if you say a word that you said more than any other word in your life, then you will get absorbed by the legendary teapot of fuck. Of course, they happen to be fighting all ninja that have catchphrases that they never fail to repeat about 8 times in each sentence, so most of them are easily defeated by the teapot of fuck. The good news is, Darui has inconsequentially counted how many times in his life, get this, he's counted how many times in his life he said each word. So he knew the right time to make a different word his most said word of all time, so he would not be able to get captured by the teapot of fuck. Needless to say, apparently none of these ninjas have ever said the word yes or the, and it's always been some sort of random ass catchphrase word that was their undoing. Speaking of the douchebag duo, they managed in their lifetime to pull 9-tailed chakra literally out of Kishimoto's ass. So they somehow still have it now. Which is great, because as Toby explained, to activate the Geto statue, they don't actually need the actual tailed beast, rather they just require some form of its chakra. A beautiful ass pull in itself that was introduced mid-series so that they weren't required to kill Killer Bee or Naruto. But if Toby would have brushed up on his history a little bit, using Kinkaku and Jinkaku really should have technically worked just as well. But hey, he's the most genius villain ever, remember? During all this time, 4 of the undoubtedly strongest ninjas in the Alliance were busy fighting each other. Because the 4th Hokage didn't want Naruto to get his chakra sucked away, because then it's basically game over for everyone. Naruto wanted to join the fight because he didn't realize that it'd be a bigger hindrance if he got his chakra absorbed than help, because at this point, his shadow clone alone is powerful enough to take down the revived 3rd Hokage. So instead of just sending an army of clones in Sage Chakra mode, the obviously better plan would be to get in on the action himself, while Killer Bee and Tsunade literally stood there and watched the squabble. Now that's how you properly use your resources. In the end, the Raikage agreed to let Naruto fight, and the things that changed his mind was literally nothing more than protagonist plot juice and backstory crap, and some sort of flashback that, oh my god, Naruto's father, I knew him at one point, so of course I'm gonna let him fight. The next part is the filler war confrontation, and since I intend to do one of these honest descriptions on every Naruto filler arc, I will avoid insulting the hell that is this continuity destroying filler fuckery, and I will leave it to another date. And I'll move on to the early war climax. The early war climax is where the initial battle begins to take shape. Madara's actually back! Who'd have thunk? And despite being in an apparently weakened state, he reveals how stupidly overpowered he is by taking on the 5 Kage and a few thousand ninjas simultaneously, you know, dropping meteors and shit, revealing that when he was alive, and when he was an ally of the first Hokage, who was apparently way more powerful than he was, they should have really had absolutely no problem conquering the entire ninja world in like a day and a half. Not to mention the other awesome ninja they had as allies at the time, being the entire Uchiha and Senju clans, along with the Sarutobis, etc. Meanwhile, Naruto and Killer Bee finally got past Roadblock 1, aka the Time Killer Raikage. They bump into Roadblock 2, aka Itachi and Pain. That teaches us that Naruto's original victory against Pain was basically luck, because now, even though there's only one Pain body, and he's immobile, Chakra Sage Mode Naruto would still be getting his ass kicked if not for Killer Bee and Itachi. Speaking of Itachi, the reason why he's able to fight on the good guy's side, instead of being mind controlled by the one that revived him like everyone else, is because he has access to an unblockable jutsu that can control anyone he casts it upon. His choice was Kabuto, which was the right choice. The issue is, though, he only used it to break himself out of mind control instead of using it to either have Kabuto control all the revived ninja for the other side, or simply to deactivate his jutsu altogether. Which, yeah, would have totally worked. But it just wouldn't have been as cool as when Itachi decides to show off yet again that he's the most badass ninja of all time, attacking Kabuto head on. Unironically, saving the day single-handedly and showing off a new Sharingan jutsu that undoubtedly puts any arguments to rest that anyone without hereditary jutsu was basically just forsaken by Lord Kishimoto. And that hard work versus natural talent bit in the Lee versus Gaara fight, that was so awesome! No amount of push-ups can stop you from an eyeball that can trap your mind in eternal pain by looking at you. Everything he stares at can combust into black inextinguishable flames, cause any damage done to you up to a certain amount of time just becoming not reality, trapping your opponent in an infinite time loop in their own minds that can only be broken out of once they decide to join your side of their own volition. Yes! Susanoo aside, even Itachi can do all those things before the beginning of Shippuden. So don't slouch on those push-ups, Lee. You're getting there. We're still trying to pass this off as an underdog story where anyone can become anything if they try. Like, look at Naruto. It was totally just training that got him a 9-tailed ball of chakra and plot juice in his tummy. And it was all training that he got the Sage of Six Paths ancestral inheritance bullshisa. You can all do it too. Don't give up, viewers. But before Naruto gets really overpowered to the extent of stupidity, he's busy getting his ass kicked by the 6 Paths of Toby. Even though, if I may remind you, one Shadow Clone took down the 3rd Raikage, who is undoubtedly individually stronger than any of these revived Jinchuriki, especially because he took down the 8 Tails multiple times and was completely unaffected by a direct hit of the Bijudama, which is stronger than anything these Jinchuriki can output. Oh yeah, and Naruto can also make about 14 bazillion clones, or 6 clones. But anyway, that doesn't matter, because thanks to Itachi's victory against Kabuto, every revived ninja crumbles, which teaches us that the Alliance should have probably sent someone to go deal with Kabuto. If Itachi wouldn't be a badass, because if not for Itachi, who got there not having to deal with any guards, they'd have been in deep shit. Despite this being an amazing move for the Alliance, the main threat, i.e. Madara, is, get this, too powerful to be unrevived. So that means he's now somehow fully revived. Not gonna lie, I can't even say this in a sarcastic tone like I do for everything else because this quite frankly makes absolutely zero fucking sense. And the kicker is, he claims this is all part of his major grand plan despite it making absolutely no sense. And despite him not even dreaming that Kabuto would join him in the first place, Madara was fighting on a hope that had no possibility of success until enough stars aligned that brought him back to life. Believe it or not, I actually have another friend that claims that Madara is the most epic and genius, well-written villain of all anime. If you disagree with his opinion, please leave an LOL in the comments. If you think this friend is a huge pleb whose opinions lose all validity, please leave a lol in the comments, because that is way more powerful, as you know.
That friend may or may not be Swag Kage.
One more thing, on the early climax I'd like to mention before I head to the mid-climax. It's a good thing the bad guys agreed to do battle on massive natural parks, forests, and deserts as opposed to somewhere populated, which aside from giving them basically infinite hostages, would make their sole purpose, which was essentially getting some nine-tailed fox chakra, to wake up the moon, a hell of a lot easier. I just also maybe wanted to bring to light that when they brought Deidara back to life, and he has that ultimate art, massive explosion of fire thingy, and he can also technically fly, I don't understand why Kabuto didn't just take over his mind, control him, have him fly into Ninja Alliance HQ, and just spam the suicide bombs. I don't know, I don't get it, but look, I don't write this stuff. I just talk about it. And there's one more thing I really quickly wanted to mention. I had another 5 minutes of script pointing out plot holes just as far as power levels from the revived ninja. For example, there's no way Mifune is as powerful as Hanzo, and I have many proofs to it. And for example, if Gaara's father had so much problem killing him when Gaara was a child, there's no reason why he should be even as close to as powerful as Gaara right now. As I said, this was a 5-minute script thing, and quite frankly, I cut it out just to get to this point. Because I really wanted to do the entire war arc in one part of Honest Descriptions. I mean, I really did, but as you can see, this is already 16, 17 minutes long, and I didn't even get to the ridiculous stuff yet. So, the war arc, Honest Descriptions, is going to be a 2-parter. The good news is the second part of the war arc will finish the Naruto series, and it's already almost done, so you can expect it within the next week. So feel free to subscribble, because I actually have some really interesting content planned for the next couple of weeks. Huge thanks to the Sword Art Online Dick Riding Association for editing this video. You did an amazing job, dude. I love working with you. Link to his channel in the description. Please check him out, guys. Also, if any of you want to edit for me, feel free to shoot me an email, nuxtaco@gmail.com. Also, feel free to follow me on Twitter, link in the description. I am so hyped for my upcoming content, and I don't think I've ever said that on this channel. I have a really important announcement that I'm really looking forward to sharing with you guys soon, so stay tuned for that. I know YouTube's a bit crummy sometimes with its notifications, so just, yeah, keep an eye out. I love every single one of you beautiful bastards. Have yourself a most wonderful evening, and I'll see you next time.